Okay, guys, I'm expecting a move for Bitcoin pretty soon. We're going to cover this chart, a few other charts. I'm going to give you some price targets to the upside and the downside. Again, if it pushes up, I'm going to give you some points to watch for. If it drops, I'm going to give you some targets that potentially you might catch a bounce. We're also going to cover a few things with the New York Stock Exchange, Dow Jones, S&P, and Nasdaq. If you would like to access any of these charts, the website's opticalartcrypto.com. The link will be pinned as the first comment and in the description. I have Bitcoin, altcoins, precious metals, stocks, and tutorials. All these charts play out live, so click the link, they load up. So let me just dive into this, guys. So this chart right here, this is a pivot ring we're coming up on. Looks like this is on the 2 hour. It looks like right now we're about 6 to 8 hours before making contact with this ring. I would like to point out, again, guys, my Twitter is private. If you are subscribed to the charts, make sure you send me an email. Make sure that I accept your follow request. But I'd like to point out, this is a recent tweet I made. This is the same chart on the daily, just showing you how we've been respecting these white rings. Notice it came up to this white ring, got rejected. Pushed up to this white ring, rejected. We have not quite made it. We almost made it to this white ring. Notice we're getting ready to cross this yellow ring. We crossed this yellow ring, came down to support. This yellow ring, we crossed it, we pushed up. As soon as we crossed this one, we pushed up. We're about to cross this one. Again, it's possibly pushed up, but I'd like to point out we're at resistance, about to cross a potential pivot ring way above this ribbon here. So it is possible that we come down. Again, it's possible that we could push up. It just makes sense since we're at resistance. Watch. To me, it seems more likely we might have a drop. I'm not calling for a crash, guys. I'm just saying possible correction. Again, this is this chart. Again, that was on the daily. This is that ring right here that we didn't quite make it to. But what I want to point out, if you notice this arrow here, I'm referencing. Notice we had just pushed above. We made contact with this yellow ring, came down and found support on this white ring. This is a published version of this chart. Notice this chart's the 3 Bitstamp 123020. Right here it says Bitstamp 123020. Notice we just pushed above the white ring, got rejected at yellow, support on the white. Just want to show you right here. So if I hit play, I just want to show you how this played out. These are published charts, I can't change these. And this is the pivot ring I'm talking about, we're coming up on here. So you can see we're coming up on this ring, and notice right here, notice that, and again, this is published on December 31st. Notice when we pushed up, we got rejected right here. Came back down, we found support on this white ring. Pushed back up, found support on this yellow ring, and then we got resistance right here at the same green fib channel line right here. And this is what I want to point out. That's why when you have these charts, you already have a roadmap where price is going to go. So notice the chart was published here. You see we're finding resistance underneath this yellow ring. As soon as we broke it, we pushed up to this red fib channel line, came back down, pushed up, got rejected at this green fib channel line. Support, came all the way down to this white ring. Push back up, resistance at the red fib channel line, support on this yellow ring, pushed up, found resistance at the red fib channel line, pushed up. This is another chart that found this top here. I'll show you this in a minute. But notice we pushed up, got rejected here. So currently your resistance is right here. I'll put a little fib channel line here, or a little trend line. So you can see your resistance currently is right here. And again, this is the price is following this trajectory. So we're at resistance now. So we're about to cross this ring. So either we're going to push above this point. This is right here at potentially, this is 35,372. So look, when we cross this ring, either we're going to push up before and we're going to go higher. Your next target above, according to this chart, is up here around 40,000, maybe $41,000. But since we're at resistance, you can see the MACD, again on the 2 hour, it looks like it's about to angle down. Guys, this is Bitcoin. It's pumping like crazy. I'm just letting you know what's possible. Because this is resistance, we got rejected here on the 3rd of January. We came down, we pushed back up, we got rejected. So again, it looks like it's possibly come down for correction. So I'm going to give you some points to watch for. Notice that when we dropped, and guys, this is the other thing. To stay in Bitcoin right now, look how much we came down. We came down 20%. So for you to be in Bitcoin, to stay in, you have to set your stop loss lower and lower and lower. So it seems like with all this volatility, if you keep lowering your stop loss to stay in, if we do have that major correction, you're going to lose a substantial amount. Or at least, if you would have sold now, you could buy back in a lower point. If you want to hodl, if you're in for the long term, doesn't really matter. I like to play the bounces. So again, and I'll show another chart. The blue ring showed where this is a point we got rejected. You know, it came down, you buy back low, you ride it up, you take your profit. Obviously, if it pushes up, I'm not in, I can miss out. But again, it's about making profit and not losing out on taking those profits. But again, what I want to point out is we're at resistance. This is previous resistance, this is resistance again. We're coming up on a pivot ring. It's likely we come down. So if you'll notice, you know, right here, this was resistance underneath this white ring. It was resistance. It flipped to support. Notice this yellow ring was resistance as well. So a likely point, if we come down, you know, watch this target here. This is going to, well, your first support potentially is 32,000. Your next support to watch is going to be here. You can clearly see this was a lot of resistance. So this would be around 30,354 depending on when you hit it. And then obviously you can see that since this white ring was resistance and support, it is very possible if we come down a likely support level. Well, you have another one here. You have one at 28,436, and then you have your white ring here on 27,637. So 27,500. I'll show you some other charts that go along with this. But I'm saying if we have a substantial drop, you know, watch these points to catch a bounce. That's what I'll be watching. And keep in mind, we cross this ring in the next 6 to 8 hours. And also, I think throughout the week, potentially if we do drop, I think we have a lot more downside. Again, if we push up, hey, we're golden. But if we do drop, I'm going to show you why it could go a lot lower. So again, I showed you this chart, how it played out. This is that pivot ring. This is the Coinbase Weekly 3-hour 12/20/20B. This ring right here, I have this on multiple charts. I'm going to show you this. Let me put this on the... Before I do that, so I have this reference here. I'm going to show you the published version of this. Notice we found support on this red ring, support on the red ring. Got rejected at this green ring, came down, found support on this. This is a green fib channel line, found support on this red ring here. This is a published version. See right here, this green fib channel line got rejected, found support on the red ring. Just want to make sure you can see that right here. So again, this is when the chart was published. This is on December 31st. So I'm gonna hit play so you can see how it played out. And you notice I was talking about earlier about where we topped out right here. And this is on the 3-hour when I published this. But notice we got topped out right here. We got topped out. And then we pushed above it and found support. This is this next ring. Notice this. Notice it came down perfectly to this green fib channel line, pushed back up above this red ring. So I just want to show you this published chart. It did play out. This is on the 1 hour, so you can kind of get up close and personal. You can see we pushed up. We found resistance right here, and then we came down. We found support right here on this green fib channel line. And we pushed up back above this red ring. We got rejected. We pushed above it, it became support. So now your support, your current support that needs to hold on this, what's it call out, hold on. Your current support right now that needs to hold is 33,877. If that does not hold, your next major support according to this chart is right around 31,500. And keep in mind, guys, same thing. Always just go back, look left, see which rings or lines were support and resistance. You can see that this was a lot of resistance right here. This white ring, resistance, resistance, resistance. Since we push above it, got a pump. So you know that this will be potential support. If we drop down, that's 29,626. All of these fib channel lines, you've got one in this direction, and you've got one in this direction. You see this was a lot of resistance. So this is another very strong support level right here around 27,900. And then you can see this ring here was a lot of support. So a next major support level to watch will be around 26,500, 26,400. I would pay attention to these targets. If we do push up, this ring will be resistance. This is around 36,686. And then you have fib channel line here at 37,500. But what I want to point out, so let me get rid of this. I want to show you this on the daily real quick. Just want to show you this ring here. So let's go to the daily. Move this out of the way so you can see it. So you can see how well price has been respecting this fib circle right here, this yellow one. Let me get my mouse on it. Right here. So you can see that well, you can barely see it here, but notice this was a pivot across this yellow ring. This was resistance. Let me just make this brighter, guys. Make sure you can see this on a mobile phone. So notice what happened here. This was a pivot. We went sideways, came down, and we're respecting the fib channel lines. Notice we found support here. Hit this ring as resistance. Came down, resistance. Found support on this fib channel line. Pushed back up. This was support and resistance. Pivot to push up. Let me move this over now. And notice right here, we pushed up as resistance. We've been finding support riding right up this ring, just completely riding up this ring. Finally we crossed it, we went sideways, and now we're respecting this white fib circle. But notice we're about to cross this ring. When price is respecting a fib circle this well, you know that you're going to get some kind of move. So it's possible we cross this ring and we could get one hell of a pump. We could cross this ring and the pivot could just go sideways to potentially ride down this support level here. We're respecting all of these rings. But again, it's also possible this can be resistance to push you down. So again, rings, they act different ways. All it is a point to pay attention to for a possible move. So do pay attention. Again, so this is going to be, we'll make contact with this around the 7th or the 8th. So what I'm saying is this chart, pay attention for a possible big move today within the next 6 to 8 hours. And for this chart specifically, watch to see, let me put this back on the 1 hour. So what I'm saying is just pay attention. It's possible. And again, when you're on the 1 day, it looks a lot more steep. But on the 1 hour, it's very possible that's what could happen. We could push up, get rejected, and this ring could continue to push us down till potentially we break it and we could push higher. But do pay attention to that. And again, that upside target, 36,647. And I gave you those are price levels. You want to go back and look. This is another chart. This is just showing you, this is that same ring. You can see this right here was a broadening wedge. Let me turn off this ribbon. This was this broadening wedge we were in. You can see we were resistance, resistance, came down support, support, resistance, and then we pushed above it. Let me move this out of the way. So again, you can see we kind of came down. We found perfect support right here on this fib channel line. We push back up. So again, watch this to be resistance if we do push up. So again, that's between 36,572 to potentially 37,612. I think it's likely this ring would push us down. So your next major support, 31,600, potentially 28,000. Notice this blue ring right here. Notice that this was a lot of resistance. Once we pushed above it, we started pumping. So a likely support level below will be down here around 25,800. We'll say 25,900. And then you have, again, fib channel lines. We respect the rings and the fib channel lines. So if we drop below that, a potential point would be 24,800. So I want to give you those price targets, guys, and pay attention to these possible pivot rings, or, well, they are pivot rings, but which direction or what happens when we make contact, we'll have to see. This is the chart with that blue ring. Now I had this on the weekly on line drawing. Now we are above this ring right now, but this is the weekly. So I think the next weekly candle opens Sunday night. So we still have about 5 days for this to potentially push back down. Right now we're above it. But again, within 5 days, if price starts dropping, if we start riding down this ring, and this ring right here happens to be a pivot to push us down, it's very likely what's going to happen is this weekly candle will push back underneath this ring. Again, this is the 20-week moving average, this blue ribbon right here. This is our moving average. This is the 20-week. I think it's very likely we need to come down and test this. My buy-in is going to be at this red ring right here to potentially catch us to catch a nice bounce. Do keep in mind though, if we, I think what's going to happen if we come down and we hold support and we cross this blue ring while we're above this red ring, I think it's more likely that we're going to push to the upside. However, I think it's possible. Notice this orange ring right here. If we come down and we break this ring right here, and then if we break this red ring and then we cross the blue ring, I think it's more likely we'll be coming down. And keep this in mind also, guys. I mean, I know people don't want to hear that price could go this low, but look at this moving average. This is the 200 moving average, the 200 weekly moving average. Notice we found this orange one here. Notice we found support. And this is a COVID crash. We found support. So it just is, if you pay attention to this, if we start coming down, this moving average is going to start kind of doing like this. It's going to kind of just do something. Hold on a sec. Something like this right here. So it is possible if it gets really bad, if we come down and we break this, your next major support is going to be down here. I know this seems crazy. Nobody wants to hear this, but possibilities. If we come down, we could drop as low as 7,634. And I mean, again, if this is on line drawing, if you look at it on the candle, you've got wicks that come way down. We actually bottomed on this ring right here. We bottomed right here on this ring. Let me put this on the daily and put this on candle just to show you. Notice what happened. We bottomed right here on this blue ring. So if I go back to the weekly and put a line drawing here, if I put it back on the weekly, you can see while we did bottom on this blue ring, we pushed back up above this orange ring. So what I'm saying is, even if we push below, we'll drop below this point. If we had a major crash, we will drop below this 200 weekly moving average to push back up. So I'm saying likely point to get that bounce would be this orange ring at potentially 7,700, and then once we hit that point, then we push up, we hold support on the 200 weekly average and push higher. That is worst case scenario for the bearish case if we have a major crash, if we break the 20 week. Otherwise, if we don't break the 20 week, I think likely, where we're going to catch support is going to be somewhere around 21,000. I think that needs to hold. I think that's probably where the 20 week is going to be if we have a substantial drop. We could be out here. We'll have to see how this plays out, guys. You can play out a number of ways. I'm just showing you possibilities. But again, we have different targets. The point is, if you have the chart, if we do have a major drop, hey, this is a point to potentially buy in. Hey, and if we broke that, you have the target down here. This is the next blue fib circle out. So, if we did break, this support, this would be my buy-in. When I called the bottom last time, it was this ring. I said, hey, when we touch this ring, this is where I'm buying in. It was right on target. I think I bought at 3,900. We dropped to 3,850 or 3,860. I dropped by $50. So again, I'm not saying we have to crash this low, but it's nice to have these targets if we do. So if we did break this, and it got really bad, this would be the point to buy in, to potentially push back up. Again, it's just good to have these targets just in case. But again, the 20 week, we need to hold to push up. That's how bull runs and bull markets are. As long as you come down and test the 20 week and it holds, that's a healthy bull market or a healthy bull run. But again, if it just keeps pushing up and pushing up, it just seems more and more likely that it's going to crash. And look at this back here. This is where we peaked at 20,000 back in 2017. Notice this MACD here. Notice the similarities. You see right here, you have this little, let me zoom in a bit. Notice right here, it pushed up, came down, pushed up, came down, and then we started getting this spike, going almost parabolic before we had our crash. Well, look right here. It pushes up, comes down, pushes up, comes down, now it starts going parabolic, and at some point, this is going to come down just like this one. And guys, I'm telling you, since we bottomed on this blue ring, it just makes sense we're probably going to top out of this blue ring. Again, we need to give it the rest of the week to see when the weekly candle opens. I do think it probably will open underneath this. We'll find out soon enough. This is another chart that I published. Actually, I did a published version, so later we can come back and check it out. But I wanted to point out, and you can see how well price has been respecting this. I'll zoom out and see the bigger picture of this chart. You see this where we topped out, this yellow ring. I don't have a time to go through this whole chart, but I just want to zoom in and show you. You notice we got rejected here, rejected here. I'm going to put this on the smaller time frame to give you, so you can kind of see. But notice right here, you can see how well price is respecting these fib circles. Resistance, support, resistance, support. We pushed up, this was support, resistance, support. We pushed up, got resistance. Pushed up to this ring is resistance. Got support, pushed up to the next one, got rejected. As soon as we pushed above it, got a pump, got rejected at this ring, and then you can see right here, notice we pushed up, got perfect rejection, perfect support, perfect resistance. So look, if this holds as resistance, we come down, your next likely support's from 27,812, and you can see we got one hell of a pump. We pushed above this point. So if we have a substantial drop, you're looking at potentially 18,900. So again, I have different charts for macro targets. These charts are for swing trading. These charts right here are, if we push above this resistance, your next resistance is potentially here or possibly here. These charts right here are for potential large targets. That is the same with this chart, peak of the bull run 2.0 chart. So I did want to cover that. These are just smaller targets. I want to show you that this chart right here, notice that we bottomed perfectly on this ring. When you have multiple charts that show the same support and resistance levels, potentially those will be very strong support. Remember before, earlier in this video, I said 27,500, 27,600 seems like a likely support level. A lot of charts are showing that to be a major support. So if we have a major drop, this would be a point for me to buy in around 27,500. You can see this is a lot of resistance, became support, dropped right down to it. And again, your first support level to watch. All these are going to be support and resistance levels to pay attention to. This is resistance, support, resistance. So your first support, if you have a drop, 32,500. You can see we respected this yellow ring as well. So look, if we drop down, 31,832. And it goes on and on, 30,562. I mean, just playing these support and resistance, I mean, you're making a killing. I mean, look how much, when it came down to this point, it pushed up to here. That was 15%. And then if you just played the bounces, guys, from this point to here was 4.42%. And then it pushed back up. This was 4.25%. If you played all the way up to this ring, it was 7%. So again, the bounces are just insane, but there's a lot of volatility, which makes me think that this is potentially setting up for something major, and I just think it's possible we might have some downside. And again, I've covered this chart. If you want to take it serious or not, it's up to you. To me, it's screaming out what's about to happen. This is the dollar index, the US dollar. This is Bitcoin. The dollar was in the falling wedge. It broke out after January, pushed up. While the dollar was coming down, Bitcoin was pushing up. This is 2017, 2018. As soon as the dollar broke out of that falling wedge, Bitcoin price started coming down. And over here, the same thing is playing out. We're coming up on January. January is right here. This is January 22nd. So if it plays out the same, you can see what happened. The dollar's coming down. At the same time, Bitcoin is pushing up. If we break up from this falling wedge, just like last time in 2018, we push up, Bitcoin's going to come down. So guys, be prepared, be ready. That is a possible scenario. This is the Dow Jones. I do have this trend line here. I said it was possible the Dow Jones could get a pump as a fake out before possibly coming down. Notice that we got rejected this red ring. We came up, got rejected. As soon as we broke above this red ring, we got a pump. So look, your resistance above is going to be this trend line right here. This is around 31,000. I want to see if this matches up with another chart. Right here. Actually, let me see if that does match. That'll be very interesting. So 31,000. Let's put a price label here. Well, that's amazing how close that is. But the reason that this is important is if you look at this chart, and I did cover this before, but this right here was before our COVID crash. Notice that this is price was coming down. Notice this yellow trend line right here. This is very strong resistance. But notice we got caught in this little pattern here. This was resistance, resistance, resistance. And we broke below it, resistance. It became resistance, support, resistance, support. So we're kind of in this pattern, kind of dropping below our support level. But notice we pushed up. We had a little fake out to the upside, came back down, a little fake out to the upside, then we had a crash. So I think what's happening is this is the same thing playing out, potentially. So, we're in this pattern. This is where we pushed up, so this is our resistance. We came way down below. This was resistance, then this flipped to support, pushed up, this became resistance. Notice we dropped below it, support, support, became resistance. Then we got caught in this pattern. So again, fake out to the upside, where? Just like another chart right here, 31,000. So potentially what's going to happen is you're going to get a little fake out up here like it's happening right now before this potentially starts dropping. I'm not saying it has to happen. I'm just looking at a previous pattern, how it played out. And this is very strong resistance right here going way back. So if we get above 31,000, maybe this goes a lot higher. I think this is potentially a fake out before a possible drop. This is the Nasdaq. We just now pushed above this resistance here. Your next resistance above for the Nasdaq is right here around 134. Your current support now, which was resistance, is 132. If we drop below that, your next support is going to be around 130. This ring will be support as well. We'd like to point out, if we zoom out, look at the bigger picture, every time we push above this white ring right here, we end up coming back down. We pushed above it, got this crazy wick, then came right back down. Now granted, this is on the 3 hour. We've had a lot more time above this ring for this on the 1 day. It looks like. So we got at least at least 4 days above this ring. But it is possible, just like happened here. You know, we pushed above it, came down, so it is possible. You know, just like I said, the Dow Jones, you know, we're above this, they're pumping this, but eventually, you know, I think this is going to come down. RSI is way over. I mean, this is way up here, way overextended, and you know, eventually this MACD is going to start turning, curving over to come back down. So I think it's possible that we're getting set up for a drop. And remember, if the markets come down, they're going to jump in the dollar. Falling wedge, guys. Falling wedge, a bullish falling wedge with the dollar. Markets pushing up all-time high during a pandemic. If the markets start crashing, everybody's going to jump into the dollar. This falling wedge is going to play out. Dollar's going to start pumping. Bitcoin does the opposite of the dollar. So if the dollar's up, Bitcoin's going to come down. So that's the Nasdaq and the Dow Jones. The last one's the S&P. And if you'll notice this white ring, you can see how well the S&P is respecting this white fib circle. Got a pivot right here. It kind of went through right there. Notice we found support, had a drop, found support. Let me get rid of all this so you can see the chart better. But notice we came down, respecting this white ring perfectly, found support, bottomed on this ring, pushed back up, found resistance. I have these center rings ghosted, but you can see how well it's respecting this. Resistance, pushed up perfect resistance, support, resistance, pushed back up, found perfect support. This is the next white ring up. So again, it's possible the S&P could be topped out. We're testing it right now. We hit it right here. We got rejected, came back down, found support. We're testing it as resistance. So if we push above this, your next resistance above to watch is potentially around 388. If we cannot get above this white ring, the support that needs to hold is right here. If I can copy this, the support that needs to hold is around 367. If it does not hold, then you know we're coming down to test some lower targets around 358. But take note, there's a blue ring here. You can see how well the S&P is respecting this blue ring. I'll make this a little brighter so you can see this. So you can see how it just rode right up this. Support and resistance. As soon as we hit this blue ring, we rode up it. Same thing played out. So we're coming up on this next ring soon. It's possible we could ride up this blue ring. It's possible we could break this blue ring and have it drop. But again, this blue ring is right around the 20. If we continue sideways and down, this is around the 22nd through the 26th. Again, all these stock charts and Bitcoin, altcoin. I'm going to cover altcoins in another video. This is already running kind of long. I just want to show you that it's possible that we are due for a correction. It's also possible we could get a hell of a pump. But just pay attention, guys. In the next, again, this does seem to be holding as resistance currently right here at 35,300. And we will be crossing this ring in, again, roughly 6 to 8 hours. So pay attention in the next 6 to 8 hours to see if we potentially come down and test some of these lower targets. And then keep in mind also, we're coming up on this ring. The price has been respecting very well. So if we do get topped out and we start coming down over the next week, this will continue to push lower. I'm not saying we can't push higher. I'm saying we might be due for a correction. However, do remember that if we break this 20 week, I think we are coming down to some much lower targets. If we do hold this 20 week, wherever we make contact with it, whatever the price is, if we do not break below this 20 week, then we're on our way to, we're continuing on our bull run to potentially hit 300,000 by December 2021. That's on the peak of the bull run 2.0 chart. I'll cover that in the next video. Alright guys, this has run long enough. Again, if you want to access these charts, the website's autoworkcrypto.com. The link will be pinned in the first comment and in the description. Again, Bitcoin, altcoins, precious metal stocks, and tutorials. All these charts play out live. Click the link. If you do want to follow me on Twitter, make sure you email me so I know who to accept the request from. Guys, that's it. Till the next video. Trade safe. I'm out.